My favorite time of Go Live, figuring out if I'm live. I think I am. Hi there. Well, hey. Uh, Another Tuesday. As long as we are all stuck at home, or safe at home, I should say, I'm going to be going live on Tuesday evenings. So this week, I thought that I could answer some questions, put that up today on my different posts if people had questions for me. So I thought maybe I could answer some of those. And then I thought that if we run out of things to talk about that, I may also talk about some of the book releases that are getting delayed because of current events, just so people are aware. Well, hey, I see people here. Santa reads. Hello. So yeah, oh, hey guys. Okay, yeah, everyone's saying hey, hey. So I put question up on my community tab and on Instagram if people had questions. So we'll just start going through there and kind of progress from there. So oh my gosh. Okay, on Instagram, what came up was Leslie Jordan. If you are not following Leslie Jordan on Instagram, you are honestly missing out because he is nuts and in the most amazing way possible. Also, he lives in Chattanooga, so I appreciate that. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so looking at some of the questions that I got, and you guys can ask me questions in the chat, obviously, too. So the first one I see is favorite children's books, fave as a teen, what first sparked my love of reading. The first book that I remember reading and loving was Heidi by Joanna Spyri, and that really made me love reading, and it made me feel like I loved classic literature, even though that's really more like classic children's literature. So that kind of sent me on that path. I read a lot of like classic kids literature of my age. So, a lot of like Lois Lowry. I was a huge Babysitters Club fan. I read a ton of that. I read classics. God, what else did I read? I don't know, like Bridge to Terabithia, Avi, Island of the Blue Dolphins, all that good stuff. And then as a teen, I read serious literature. Like I fancied myself quite the pretentious book snob. So I read a lot of that. And what sparked my love of reading? I don't know. I think some of it was pretension of like feeling smart that I'd read stuff. And some of it, I think, books have always just been so immersive and engaged my imagination in a way that visual media hasn't. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I got started. Hey everyone. Okay, so I see questions coming in here too, so we'll mix it up. What's your favorite historical fiction read recently? Recently, oh, I got a super chat. Okay, well, Derek, that's so kind of you. I don't really know what to do. I've never gotten one of these before. This is well, thank you. So I'm going to answer that, and then I'll come back to the historical fiction item. So I'm curious to know if you've ever read George Gissing and if you prefer him over Charles Dickens. So Derek, I feel really bad that you super chatted for that because I literally don't even know who George Gissing is. So I don't prefer him over Charles Dickens because I've never read him. But now you've made me curious, so I'm going over here to Goodreads and putting him in my little search bar. New Grub Street, The Odd Women, The Netherworld, Born in Exile. Okay, well, damn. So he's got a lot of books. I've literally never heard of any of them. So if there's a recommendation of one that you think that I might like, I'm certainly open to that. I'm always open to learning about new classics. So thank you so much. Okay, Derek says The Netherworld. Okay, well, you know what? Let me put that down as want to read and recommended to me. And next year when I'm doing my classics list, that will definitely be in the mix. Thank you. Okay, historical fiction that I have read recently. I've actually not read that much historical fiction recently that wasn't just like a straight up classic. Um, yeah, so I guess I don't have really a great answer to that. I have the Jane Austen Society on my docket, which I am actually doing a sponsored video for, which I've never done before. But I was actually genuinely super interested in the book, so that is why I went ahead and took it, because it kind of gave me some Guernsey literary and potato peel pie society vibes. It seems like very cozy historical fiction. Aside from that, the one that comes to mind that I've enjoyed recently, or like in the last year, was the Widow at Pale Harbor, which is sort of like a gothic historical fiction kind of thing with like a murder mystery thrown in. That was fun. Um, Babysitter's Club. Yes. Do I speak or read in another language? Je parle français un petit peu. I minored in French, so I should be able to speak it more fluently than I do, but I can read it. I used to be, I would say, semi-fluent, but not anymore. But I appreciate. I'm a great appreciator of the French language. I've also learned and forgotten rudimentary Spanish about 3 times. When I was in elementary school, I was in an immersion program, so I actually spoke pretty fluently and have forgotten. So, for what that's worth. How was your first contact with Agatha Christie? I first read Agatha Christie on a whim when I was on my way back from studying abroad at Cambridge, and I wanted something very British for the flight back. So I just picked up a random Christie, which was The Hollow and Halloween Party, and I fell in love. What do I think of Wuthering Heights? It's okay. I liked it. I think it's good. Oh, actually, I have a video coming out Thursday where I talk about this, so I'll refer you to that. Hi Mara, have you happened to read anything by Terry Pratchett by any chance? After reading a lot of your recommendations, I think it might be up your alley at some point. Ashley, I agree. I think that I would like Terry Pratchett. I have actually never read anything from him, but he's one of those excuse me, the tree pollen is genuinely killing me. I promise I'm not sick with other things, but let's see. Yeah. So I think I will read Terry Pratchett at some point. I just haven't gotten to him yet, but I think he's gonna be up my alley. I know the ending of The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Should I still read it? Yeah, I think that. I mean, it depends on if you're a how reader or a why reader, or like a how reader or a what reader. I am somebody who reads to find out how the book unfolds, and there are some people who read to find out what happens in the book. So if you're somebody who reads to find out what happens in the book, I think you'll be less satisfied. If you're somebody who's okay with just sort of seeing how it unfolds, you'll still probably enjoy it. Matt says, what are your opinions on Moby Dick? Melville's writing is great, but a lot of the novel comes off as unnecessary and dry, and it's taken me a few weeks to get through around 250 pages. Thoughts? Again, I'm actually going to be talking about this in my video on Thursday. But basically, I agree with you, which is why I've never gotten through that book. Have I read Anne of Green Gables? Did I like it? I do think I read it as a kid, and I don't think I especially liked or didn't like it. I very much like that miniseries from the 90s. I feel like I had to read that at camp like 7 times or watch that at camp. Like, I feel like that was a go-to. What I think of Herman Hesse, the only book I've ever read from Herman Hesse was Siddhartha, and I hated it. Other people are saying, let's see here, The Odd Women, The Netherworld. So, okay, there's other recommendations on George Gissing. I think since Derek asked, I'm going to go with his recommendation, which is The Netherworld. Feminist Victorians. Well, feminism started, well, so where we can get a whole debate about what the origins of feminism are. One could argue that feminism started with the Victorians, but you could also argue roots in the earlier part of history, the late 1700s, as we would consider it to be now. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a ton of feminist Victorians. Some notable ones I enjoy. Oh, what is her name? Sorry, I can't think of it right now. Guys, today has been a rough day at work, so I'm actually impressed that I'm even at all coherent because I've been yelling at or been getting yelled at all day long. Okay, how am I feeling? I'm feeling good-ish, better than I was. Still healing. So there you go. But I can at least sit for longer and longer periods of time. I know you love Nalini Singh, and I am going to start reading her series. How do you feel about J.R. Ward's Brotherhood series? I think it's not for me. And I can't really get into why because there's spoilers. Like, I basically found out some spoilers about this series, and I just think it's not for me. Vague? That was a subtweet, I guess, basically. Any opinions on the Kindle Paperwhite? I'm using an iPhone and iPad right now. I have a Paperwhite right here, and I really enjoy it. But it's a luxury, not a necessity. So I think it's really a question of if you would enjoy having a device that's not as expensive to take around. Like, I like having something that's not nearly as expensive as my phone or an iPad to like stick in my purse and to travel with. I also do enjoy the like non LED, whatever kind of screen is on an iPhone. I enjoy having something besides that. So I think it's really not a necessity by any means. I enjoy mine. It really just depends on how you use it. Strong female character. Yes, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins is feminist as fuck if you're looking for a feminist Victorian novel. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to answer one more of these and I'm going to go back to Instagram. What are your thoughts on the decline of major YA book to movie franchises? I think it's honestly probably good. I feel like there was a lot of pressure on those. I don't know. I feel like that's a pressure-filled trend because I feel like it makes the acquisitions of new YA books very tied to if they think they can sell the movie rights. And I don't know that that's a great factor to be so heavily weighted in the acquisition process, because there are some fantastic books that are not especially cinematic, or at least not cinematic in the same way like the Harry Potter franchise was or something like that. Like A Heart and a Body in the World, because that's one of my favorite YA books. I think could make a beautiful movie. I don't know that it would be the same kind of sellable movie as like one of the big fantasy series. Okay, so let me answer another question from Instagram here real quick. Jane Austen retellings, good or bad? There are tons of these novels. Literally, I have my sponsored video on the Jane Austen Society is entirely about this subject. So you will see my thoughts there. I actually really like adaptations and retellings. Some are obviously better than others, but I'm going to get into that in that video. I feel like a little weird constantly just like, not clickbaiting, but just referring to like, oh, this is actually something I'm about to talk about. This just means you and I, we're all just in sync in terms of what we care about here. Next one says kitty updates, please, and nonfiction recommendations. Kitty updates are that I love them so much. They're so cute. They're not allowed in this room because this room has lots of wires that they would enjoy chewing on. So you can't see them. But they are settling in. He especially is definitely like a big snuggle bug. She is becoming less and less shy. They are still very skittish. Like if there's a loud noise, they freak out and won't come out for a while. They won't let me pick them up, but they will come to me. So they're relaxing, but we still have progress to go. I don't know what we're going to do when we need to go to the vet because I'm not sure if I can like get them into where they need to be. Nonfiction recommendations. Oh, so many. It would just depend on what type of nonfiction this person wants. Let's see here. You know what? Let me look and see what my top non-rated nonfiction pick for the year is, and we'll just say that's my recommendation. Let me open up my spreadsheet. Legendary Children by Tom Fitzgerald and Lorenzo March enjoyed. Okay, coming back over to live chat. Let's see here. Have you had a chance to watch The Witcher yet? I have not. I am saving that for later on in my lockdown regimen, but that is on the docket for me. I I have had mine for 6 years. Would absolutely recommend. They last forever and amazing on the eyes. I will say that I do think that iPads do tend to last a good amount of time, though I've noticed the newer models do not last as long. Do I like Karen Slaughter? I tried a book from her and did not enjoy it very much. So I'm gonna, never say never. I didn't have a great outing with it. Have I read any John Grisham books? I did read some John Grisham back in high school, I feel like, and enjoyed it. I read, oh man, I want to say The Testament. I remember reading that. And then I think I read The Pelican Brief because I was obsessed, / still am obsessed with that movie. They were good. They're nice, like awesome, enjoyable page turners. Pro tip for Terry Pratchett, don't start with the first 2 books in the Discworld series. You can pick the book by which characters you find the most interesting instead. Okay, good to know. Favorite of Jane Austen? Again, that's going to be in that video, so I'll just keep you in suspense. I'll give you a hint. It's the most basic, predictable choice. How about that? Elizabeth Gaskell, sure. Let's see here. I've loved The King's Spinster Bride and The Midnight Bride with those vibes based on your recommendation. That makes me so happy. I love those books. That's lovely. So weird to think about your coworkers. Do they even know who you are? I mean, they know who I am. Obviously, they work with me. You're like a secret famous person. Hardly. I've never watched it, but wasn't that what Hannah Montana was? Haha. So my coworkers know that I review books as my hobby because last year I went to BookNet Fest and I told them that I was going to talk about books. So they know that it's a thing I do. They don't, I think, know that this is my channel. Very sadly, my best friend at work is leaving the company. So I've told her that I can tell her about this now that she's leaving. But yes, I try to keep my work and this life very separate. So recommend me a good book, please. I'll just make my purchase of a lot of books that I make monthly on Amazon. It's so much pressure. I don't know what your taste is, so I feel like I don't know. If you give me a genre, I'll give you a recommendation. Do you think the modern Gothic romance genre should have a huge resurgence in 2020? I don't know. I was talking to Bree Hill about this. I think that it's definitely like ripe for a revival. And like the person I mentioned earlier, Hester Fox, I think she's writing in that style. There's a big book that came out, I think last year, maybe early this year, called The Widow of Rose Hill. So I don't know what else in the pipeline, but I do think that like it's primed for a comeback. I think there's space there. I'm glad you're here, Sally. Gaskell, yes, the Bronte sisters. Anyone opinion on The Called in 5 Years? Don't know what that is. Shakespeare retellings, good or bad? They can be good, they can be bad. I've never seen the one with Keanu Reeves, but I feel like that would be quite a sight to behold. My favorite adaptation of Shakespeare is the Merchant of Venice with Pacino. I really like that one. My favorite adaptation is 10 Things I Hate About You. R.I.P. Heath Ledger. What is your favorite Dickens novel? Mine is A Tale of Two Cities and A Christmas Carol. Mine is definitely Great Expectations. That's my favorite. Hessa's Siddhartha happens to be my favorite, and I attribute that book to encouraging me back into my spiritual journey. That is so wonderful. I read Siddhartha as a teenager and like big fat did not get it, which is why I don't have a good impression of it. I have not read anything from him as an adult, so yeah. Okay. Excited for the Austen Society video. Good. I'm really happy with how it came out. It's the first time doing a video like that, and I feel like it went well. Also, I have makeup look based on a book cover coming out on Read Bliss sometime in the next month that I'm really happy with how it came out. It was so fun. And if you guys are into it, I might do it on my channel because it was a really good time. Okay, the next question on Instagram was, how are you doing in isolation seeing that you live alone like me? I'm doing okay. I think because I was basically on bed rest for the first part of isolation, I didn't really care that I was isolated because I could barely leave the house. So it wouldn't have mattered if I wasn't in isolation. Like I couldn't move hardly. So, I'm doing okay. I think I'm glad I have my kitties. It's good to have some companionship. I haven't really gotten antsy yet, so I think I'm doing okay. I hope you guys are doing okay. I think it helps. I don't know. I have a lot of online community. A lot of my closest friends live farther away from me than my immediate city, so it helps. I think in terms of I'm used to FaceTiming with people a lot and things like that. So. Are you married? If not, I got some hot peeps for you. I appreciate that, Sally. I could use all the help I can get. I am not married. I have commitment issues. We're in therapy. We're working on it. So let's see here. Would you recommend me the Lord? Oh yeah, the Lord of the Rings is where it's at. I love Lord of the Rings. It's in my top 10 favorite books ever. Do you like Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay? I do. I think I gave that 4 stars. It's not my favorite from her, but it is. I enjoyed it. I recommend the audio. Do you used to stay up until deep into the night reading? Only if I can't put something down. And I've heard that called the Bad Decisions Book Club, like when you know you should go to sleep, but you just keep going and stay up and are miserable the next day. Have I ever read Dune by Frank Herbert? If so, what did you think of it? I have not, and I think based on the reviews I've seen from people with similar taste to me in sci-fi, I don't really think that I will. It doesn't really seem like a book for me. So I don't plan to. I think I might see the adaptation that's coming out just because it looks real cool. What was the very first TV show you remember watching as a child? Sesame Street. It's classic. It's great. Am I playing any video games right now? No, I don't really play video games. I just do like Sudoku on my phone sometimes. That's about it. I remember I used to be obsessed with Farmville. Wow, I forgot about that until right now. I played that hardcore there for a little while. Have I tried Mark Pryor's Hugo Marsden series? No, I have not even heard of it. Buy books on Amazon, a recommendation of a classic. If I know nothing about your taste, a good place to start with classics, I think, is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. It's one of my kind of go-to recommendations. If you've not read Jane Eyre, obviously I'm very biased there, but it's great. Do I have any closed circle mystery recommendations where the mystery isn't a murder? I've been looking for one and I love your Rex. Thank you. Thank you. See, that would be something that would automatically put me off a book usually because I want there to be death. That says about me. But there is a middle grade one that I got that I think it's more of a robbery. It's called, I'm sorry, I was looking back there to see what it's called. Poison is Not Polite. And I can't see who the author is, but I think that one is an isolated closed circle mystery where it's a robbery, but it's middle grade. So there you go. Okay. Instagram. Next one is, have you read Parallel House? Sorry if you've mentioned it. I'm reading it and loving it. I have read A Parallel House. You can see my review as part of Project Poirot from back in the day. And it's not my favorite Christie. I know people really love it. I don't know. I think it suffered for being a Poirot that I read later in my journey of reading Christie. And I think I knew a lot of her tricks at that point and therefore figured out what was happening very early in the book. And that made me feel frustrated for whatever reason. So, How did you get into classics? Did anyone introduce you to them? I got into classics. Well, we were talking about this, the first question I answered. I got into classics because I read Heidi by Joanna Spyri. That was like one of my very first chapter books I can remember reading and loving. And I, as a wee lass, thought that was just sort of like a classic. I didn't realize it was a children's classic. So that made me think that I just liked classics in general. So I started reading adult classics from that. And yeah, I don't, nobody really made me do that. I think they gave me Heidi just as sort of like a children's classic for me to enjoy. And then I think when they realized that I had like mistakenly thought I liked adult classics, they were like, sure, this is great. Keep going. So just kind of luck of the draw there. Which popular retellings would you want to recommend to Disney fans? I mean, Beauty and the Beast retellings are the first thing that come to mind. You know, to mess with Disney fans, I would love to recommend them Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber, because it is dark feminist retellings of fairy tales. It's one of my very favorite books ever, and it's one of my very favorite short story collections. Probably my favorite short story collection ever. In general, Beauty and the Beast retellings are my jam, and a lot of them are romances, so I would recommend any number of those. I'll ask again. I'm sorry, Lucille, did I miss one? Fantasy romance recommendation with Radiance, Grace Draven vibes, aka adults with good communication and respect. I mentioned The King's Spencer Bride, Midnight Bride with those vibes. Oh, yeah, sorry, I may have missed that. Those are kind of my go-to recommendations there. I know my friend Leanna from Leanna's Library is obsessed with Radiance, and she really likes a book called Trick by, I want to say, Natalie Joster. I haven't read it, but she sent it to me because she was like, you need to read this. So maybe try that. I mean, if you've not read all of Grace Draven, like, start there. But yeah, Wolf and the Whale, maybe, by Jordana Max Brodsky. That kind of straddles the line between romance and fantasy. But can you please explain the difference between romance and literary fiction? Sure. I should first say that I'm using that in the sense of genre terms. There are literary romances, and there are romantic literary fiction. So how to break it down. So there's genre romance and genre literary fiction, and then there is romance as an element to a book, and literary fiction, or like literariness, as a descriptor of the prose quality. So an example of what I would call a literary romance, well, I mean, like the classic ones like Pride and Prejudice, Jane Eyre. But like a more recent one would be like Possession by A.S. Byatt. I would consider it to be a romantic literary, like a kind of fusion between the two. But I think usually when I'm using those two terms, I'm talking about like type genre distinctions. So a romance is defined like as a genre, as a book that has a romantic conflict between two or more people as a primary conflict. So there can be, like in a romantic suspense, there is the romance, and then there's also a mystery happening, but the romance has to be like one of the central like things that's happening in terms of conflict in the book. And then the other qualification is that it has to end positively. So the couple, or the, throuple, whatever, have to be in a relationship that is secure by the end of the book. So those are like the definitions of genre, like the romance genre. Literary fiction gets away with not having to think of itself as genre because its conventions are not as set in place. So it's usually very focused on beautiful language and powerful themes, like more timeless type stories or themes, I think you can more easily think about its genre conventions when you think about like more specific types of literary novels. So like, for instance, a Bildungsroman is a coming of age novel that is a subgenre of literary fiction. So you can think of Catcher in the Rye or the beginning of Jane Eyre. So literary fiction does have genre conventions, and modern literary fiction has, I think, even more narrow genre conventions than maybe older literary fiction. So yeah, it's my little side tangent on that. Oh no, it says that it's unable to connect to chat. I don't know why. I think I'm still streaming. Hopefully. Okay. Hello, no from Madrid, just know she were live. Moving back to the UK this week. Still no Wine and Prejudice. It will come someday, I promise. The saddest book I've ever read. I have a video idea to do that. I called it Savage Books Coming for Your Feelings. That was the title that I put on that folder. The saddest book I've ever read. Ooh. I don't know, man. There's some sad ones out. I'm gonna say, like the first one that comes to mind is The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. That book, when I tell you, I just so distinctly remember coming to the end of that book. I was in the student housing that I was in during grad school, and there was this awful bed that had the worst mattress, and it was like a platform bed, and I remember curling up on that, and when I tell you that I wept like I have never wept before or since, probably. Like I literally, I mean, I say that I cried more for personal things in my life, but like for a book, the level of just like it made me boo hoo from like the depths of my soul. That book made me cry. So I think that would get the job done if you need something to make you cry. Where would you start with Roxane Gay? I think Bad Feminist is a pretty good place to start with her. My favorite of her nonfiction things that I've read is Hunger, definitely. And my favorite fiction thing I've read from her is Aidi. So those are my two favorites. And then, like I said, for some reason it's saying unable to connect to chat. So let me try if I say something. Test. Oh no. I don't know why it's not showing me live chat anymore. Huh. Maybe if I pop it out. Oh, okay. Now it's back. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Late night reading was me last night until 2 a.m. The Last Painting of Sarah DeVos. That is a ringing endorsement. If you stay up late reading, that is definitely a good sign. Do I have any favorite graphic novels or comics? Yes, actually. I was literally reading this right before I joined you. Just a second. I'll show it to you. I'm back. Hi. Monstrous. This is the only one that I'm like keeping up with. So this was the treat I picked out for myself. Besides talking to you guys after today, I was like, I deserve something I really enjoy. So Monstrous, that's my favorite right now. Should I give Jane Austen another shot, even though I didn't like it? I don't know. I would say it depends why you didn't like it. I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I think there's times where I want to give things a second try because I do really want to like something, even if I didn't at first. But I also think like there's no shame in liking what you like and not liking what you don't like. So if you would really like to like Jane Austen, I say sure. But otherwise, so many other things you could read. Do you enjoy adult coloring books? I have a couple that I have used, but I kind of go through it in phases. I haven't recently been in the mood for them. I've been doing Sudoku, like I mentioned. But yeah, I can get down with an adult coloring book for relaxation. What is the best classic book you've ever read? Jane Eyre. Charlotte Bronte. That is my all-time favorite book. Have you ever read Nancy Mitford and Evelyn Waugh? If so, how do they stack up against P.G. Wodehouse's humor? I have not yet read Nancy Mitford. I would like to. I did not have the best experience or the most warm experience of Evelyn Waugh. He reminded me more of Graham Greene than P.G. Wodehouse, if that tells you anything. But I haven't read Scoop from him yet, and I would like to because I think that would be more my deal. Can you please explain the difference between category romance and single title romance? Terrell, you are just like, you're finding my favorite things to pontificate on. Well played. So category romance, when you think, category romance are books or romances that are written in lines for different publishers. So I think they are often what people think of when they think of the romance genre. So when you go to Target or the grocery store and you see those covers that all look super similar to each other, like Harlequins are white with the red banner, that's category romance. And they have even more specific genre formulations that they adhere to. And they have very specific page counts and things that need to happen in them, all that kind of stuff. So they're even more genre, trope focused. And if you need something to turn your brain off, you cannot do better than a category romance. It's the same part of my brain that enjoys a reality TV show kind of thing. It's good stuff. Single title romances can still be in a series, but it's not in one of those specific lines from the publisher. What are your thoughts on authors Kennedy Ryan, Cora Riley, and Ava Harrison? By the way, love Princess in Theory. Oh, I'm so glad. Kennedy Ryan, I would really like to try. I have The Long Shot on my e-reader, and I've heard it's fantastic, but very dark and very angsty. Cora Riley and Ava Harrison, I unfortunately do not have an opinion on. Sorry for hogging. No such thing. Have I read Charles Murren's Melmoth the Wanderer? I have at least heard of that one, but no, I have not read it. But if I would be happy to hear a pitch of why I would enjoy it. The difference between stream of consciousness and internal monologue. Stream of consciousness is more of an overall prose style, and internal monologue is a specific narrative tool in your toolbox. So Mrs. Dalloway, that's a great example of a stream of consciousness novel where the entire novel is sort of told in somewhat disconnected, a disconnected narrative style that doesn't necessarily have the same kind of structured logic a normal story would have, versus an internal monologue would be the character thinking about something for a limited amount of time within the overall narrative that would generally be more of a traditional narrative structure. That's my best attempt off the cuff at explaining the difference there. Feel free to jump in, folks, if you'd like to amend that. Okay, a couple more from Instagram. Any thoughts on the shortlist for the Women's Prize for fiction? Ooh, sorry, one of my coworkers just texted me about something I was venting to them about. Okay, I don't have thoughts about it because I haven't looked at it, but maybe if I get time, I will come back to it later. Someone asked, and I actually posted this to my Instagram stories because I've had a few people ask me this. How do you join your Discord? So the link, the persistent link to my Discord is in every description of my videos. And then I do have a link to it in my link tree on Instagram. So if you're trying to join the Discord, that's how you do it. I've been so happy to see so much free chat in the Discord in the last week. I encourage it. Keep it going. Fantasy romance with the same vibes as Radiance. Oh, we got it. We've already talked about this, so yay. Okay, back over here. Do you think the season or weather in which you read a book affects or modifies your experience of it? Like reading Wuthering Heights in summer instead of doing it in winter? I think it can. It's more just, I think at least my mood, Me personally, my mood definitely impacts how I experience a book, sometimes positively and sometimes negatively. Do you have a favorite Nora Roberts book? Yes, my favorite Nora Roberts book is The Obsession, and I have a whole video talking about where I think you should start with Nora Roberts. And I say The Obsession because it's fantastic. What was the name of the dark feminist Disney telling? Oh, The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter it's not Disney retellings, but it is dark feminist fairy tale retellings. So, have I ever read Bernard Cornwell? No. Do I like reading while listening to music? Not especially. I can, it's fine, but it's not something I specifically seek out. Stream of consciousness is a technique used by authors following the narrator's thoughts without exception, even if they seem to jump from one thing to another. Yeah, I agree. Come back. Is there a book where you looking back, you think, OMG, I read that way too young in terms of content rather than too young to appreciate it? Huh. I'm trying to think. I mean, your mind goes to something that's more like sexually explicit or violent, and I can't really think of many things. No, nothing comes to mind. I'll think about that and let you know if something comes to mind. Any hint to reading faster? I'm reading every day for more than a month, but I don't think I'm getting any better. I think picking things that are easier to read can help you build your reading speed. So I think if you're trying to improve your reading speed, reading like a classic, that's going to be harder than if you pick maybe like a fun mystery or something. So that can help. I think I started reading a lot faster in grad school because I had to. And I think forcing your eye, like I have a video about this. I'm trying to remember how I said this. I think you have to get to a point where you can move your eyes across the page quickly and trust that your brain is picking things up. And I think that takes practice to trust that you are picking things up. I should also say I wouldn't do that for something where I was really trying to like dwell in the language and like really just appreciate the prose. That's more for things where I'm like really more focused on getting the story. So that's again why I think something more plot driven is probably better for practicing that. Do you think a Kindle would get me back on reading track? I've been on and off for a while, and sometimes my mind is so not focused that I can't focus on a book. I wasn't like that. I do find that having a lot of different books going and a lot of different types of books in terms of their format going is helpful to me. At any given time, I usually have a physical book, an ebook, and an audiobook going. And I find that it helps, but I think that it just depends. Every reader is different. Overrated classics. Well, are these classics I don't like or classics that I don't think should be classics? I will tell you the classic and this is more, I guess, a modern classic. The modern classic author that I don't get why they became considered such a classic author is Vonnegut. I don't get it. I accept that he must be important to the canon just based on the way people talk about him and reference him, but I don't get it. So there you go. If you write everything down that you're thinking, no editing involved, that stream of consciousness, then my test I put in, went through, that's when I popped things out and I could see chat again. Okay. Appreciate your Insta story about Murderbot novellas. I downloaded and finished Artificial Condition. Yes, I'll put this as another public service announcement. So you should still be able to get Artificial Condition today for free from Tor.com. And then tomorrow and the day after, you should be able to get Rogue protocol and exit strategy for free. So this week you could have downloaded the entire Murderbot Diary series from their website for free if you sign up for their newsletter. And I recommend you do that because every month they release something for free. They send out a book for free. So I think that's fantastic. I think it's a really cool strategy they have. I recommend that. And I specifically recommend getting your grubby little hands, if you like e-reading, on the Murderbot novellas. What's the best comic book, graphic novel to movie adaptation you've ever seen, and what's the worst? I don't really know that I'm a good authority on that because I don't know that I've got strong enough feelings about the comic or graphic novels in question. I guess I can just say like my favorite adaptation I've seen of a property like that would be, I really like the original Avengers, and I like the first of the Christian Bale Batmans, or Christopher Nolan, I guess, depending on how you think about that. But that's just personal taste. I will also tell you that I have not seen any Marvel movie besides the first Doctor Strange since that first Avenger one, because I tapped out. What genre would you put the in-depth books in? I consider them to be mysteries because I think that's really like the dominant mode of the books, but they are also sci-fi with a nice little dose of romance in there. Proust is a famous example of stream of consciousness. I don't know a lot of people who read that for pleasure. Yeah, I read Swan's Way as part of my French literature class, and that was fine. What are your favorite non-Shakespeare playwrights? I don't know that I read a ton of plays, to be totally honest. I mean, one of my favorite plays from the Restoration period of England was called 'Tis Pity She's a Whore by John Ford. That's a fun one. Favorite young adult books? I guess by definition Harry Potter, but aside from that, like one of my very all-time favorite series is The Naturals from Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and she is a young adult author who I always look for her new releases from. What did you get your degree in? My undergraduate degree is in accounting with a minor in French, and then my master's degree was in religion with a focus in popular literature. So, wide degree of educational experience. What is a weird quirk of yours? Oh, I am just a weirdo in general. A weird quirk of mine. I don't know. Well, an idiosyncratic failing of mine is that I'm really bad at texting and calling people. Any use of the phone beyond looking at social media, I tend not to be great at. Have you ever read Anne Rice? If so, do you think her books were part of a brief Gothic revival? I feel like I tried to read an Anne Rice at some point. I feel like I tried to read Interview with a Vampire after I saw that movie and couldn't get into it. But sure. Sure, she could be a part of Gothic revival. I can see that. If there's a popular YA author you'd love to see write a historical romance novel, who would you pick and why? I don't know that I have like that strong of feelings about YA authors. I tend to just like individual books. I mean, I would be interested to see what Jennifer Lynn Barnes would do because I assume it would have some sort of like mystery component. Like maybe it would be like one where one of them is a spy kind of thing at like a house party and they're trying to figure out crimes. That might be fun. Opinion on Mary Higgins Clark. I read some of her stuff as a teenager and really liked it. Let's see here. Do you have any suggestions of traditional classics Victorians featuring LGBT plus characters and romances? The main, like in terms of things that are mainstream, Oscar Wilde's going to be your guy. So Picture of Dorian Gray is definitely queer. But I'm afraid you'd probably have to find somebody who's more of an authority than I on that topic. But that would be my basic level entry suggestion. Sorry for the spam. No worry, Alan. It happens. It's fine. Do you think you... Oh, man. Okay. Sorry. Chat is being weird here. Do you think you can read the Side Changeling Trinity series without reading the original series? I picked up the Trinity books, not realizing there are 7,000 books in the original series. I'm so sorry, Kate. I don't think you should. I think you're gonna miss a lot. I think that they're not going to be as impactful, and I think you'll be confused if you don't start at the beginning. So I'm really sorry to tell you that, in the sense of I'm sorry you already have them. I am delighted to tell you that it's not a million. It's 14. There's not 7,000 books before that. It's 14, and they are such a delightful ride. So go back to Slave to Sensation. Keep going. When you hit Caressed by Ice, you'll get to understand why Judd is bae, and then you'll just keep on trucking from there. Lesser Bohemians is totally a romance, but it's also a stream of conscious literary fiction. Good to know. Have I ever played Twister? Yes. Slumber Parties for sure. How old am I? I am... Oh man, that's how you know you're old, is when it takes you a second to remember. I am 32. 32-year-old lady. Can I come to England quickly? I don't think any of us are going anywhere right now. I was in England last year. Let's see. Harry Potter is shite. I disagree. I like it. Though I do have complicated feelings the longer I go out from it. If I could live anywhere, where would you want to live? I think it would be... it would depend on like where my family and friends were. If that wasn't if like that was out of the equation, Cambridge was my favorite place I've ever spent an extended period of time at. So it's such a wonderful blend for me of like quaint country with like basically palaces in the middle of it. And I had like a little tea shop I would go to once a week. It was lovely. Have I read Frankenstein? I have. I have read and enjoyed Frankenstein. Jennifer Donnelly writes a lot of YA, but her Rose trilogy historical romance is wonderful. Good to know. Tara guessed Canada. Well, that's true. I did love... You guys do know I love Canada. I will always love Canada. What's my opinion on Dan Brown's writing? I think, there's this tendency to want to like shit on sort of commercial writers. And I understand it to an extent. I will say, I think that he really knows how to structure his books in a way that makes you want to keep reading. So while his prose I don't think is like beautiful, I don't think that it's like objectively very good. I think it's really propulsive. I think it's very clear. So, I think it gets its job done and does something really like is very impactful on the reader. So yeah, I don't necessarily feel like Dan Brown is like the worst example of commercial fiction out there. Frankly, I think James Patterson is far worse in terms of like objective quality. So, but again, his books are very readable and enjoyable to a lot of people. So I don't really feel like I need to take a crap on it. Do you have a book you are surprised you have not yet read? I don't know. I feel like I anytime I like am looking at whenever I'm making my lists, like my 12 classics to read for the year, the 20 and 2020, whatever, I like as I'm looking at what's unread on my shelf, I'm always surprised of like, oh, I haven't read that. So nothing specifically comes to mind. But yeah, I mean, pretty much any of the classics that are ever on my 12. I guess, here's what I'm surprised I've not yet read. I've not yet read North and South, and I really want to, so I'm surprised that I haven't made myself do that yet. Frankenstein is LGBT. I guess that means plus. Okay. I guess I didn't really think about it that way, but perhaps. Oscar Wilde, George Bernard Shaw. Yep. What do I think of Faulkner? I have DNF'd every Faulkner novel I've attempted. I feel like I've read some short stories from him that I could get down with, but don't enjoy his novels. Which of the memorable Austen love interests would you want to kiss, marry, kill? Terrell, I've got to tell you, you're like killing it with these questions. You're like making me think here. Kiss, marry, or kill? Darcy, Knightley, Ferris. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to say I do think Darcy would be the best husband of those three. So I'll marry him. Edward Ferris seems kind of repressed to me, so I don't really want to, do him. So I guess by default that means he's the one who has to get killed. So I guess I would kiss Knightley, kill Ferris. Just process of elimination. I'm almost 10 years younger than you. If I'm old, what does that make me? No, I just mean I don't know. I think there comes a time where you cross the when you're younger, you're always so aware of how old you are. And I think I realized after 30, I just stop remembering how old I am. That's all I mean by that. Let's see here. I keep hearing about this resurgence of the Gothic story. I'd mentioned Melmoth the Wanderer, which is Gothic and inspired me to write a novel that's planned out as a story within a story. I hope that happens. I've been down with a Gothic. And like I said, I feel like it seems like one of those kind of genres that's due for a comeback. So, yeah. What's your favorite long book? 800 plus pages. I guess I would say War and Peace. Oh, well, if you think of Lord of the Rings as one long novel, I would say that. But if you think of it as a trilogy, I guess not. After I'm done with the war I'm working on, have I read Anne of Green Gables? Yeah, I think I read that as a kid, but didn't particularly stick with me. North and South is fantastic. Something special to look forward to. I know. I keep I have it out as audio, and I keep not reading it. I really want to. Let's see. Favorite hobbies outside of reading? I really love hiking. Anywhere where there's lots of trees, because I like to stop and look at the trees. People don't enjoy hiking with me because I make them stop a lot to look at the trees. So, or I guess hiking or or just being in the woods. I enjoy the woods and the mountains. My favorite post-colonial novel. I never quite know what people mean by post-colonial novel. Can you give me a definition of what you mean by that? Favorite, maybe, do we mean retelling colonized people's stories outside of the Western context? If that's kind of the vibe, then I would say maybe Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. I really like that. Favorite Harry Potter book is the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And I just remembered I have more questions over here that I should get to. What other slow burn authors do you enjoy, a la Mariana Zapata? It's kind of tricky because I don't know that I think of a lot of other authors who only do slow burns. I mean, a slow burn I've enjoyed was Well Met by Jen DeLuca. That was really good. I'm looking at my shelves here. Oh, Penny Reid. I think of Penny Reid as a slow burn author. That would be another one I would recommend. Hers tend to be pretty slow burny. And then did I get any? Let's see if I got any more over on YouTube. Have I ever read any Australian authors? Oh, I read what's her face last year? You know her. Jane, she wrote The Dry. It's a mystery, an Australian mystery author. And I thought that was well written. I didn't love the book, but I enjoyed the writing. Have I been writing at all? Not since I had to have surgery and everything. No, not recently. What is your opinion on Dostoevsky? Personally, he makes me want to pull my hair out. I really enjoyed the Brothers Karamazov, and I enjoyed The Double and The Gambler. So I guess I like him. I like him pretty well. I've not read Crime and Punishment. Not worked up to that yet. Oh, I keep seeing all these messages getting retracted. I'm worried that people are saying scandalous things. Have you ever tried UK author Lucinda Riley? Her Seven Sisters series is awesome. I have not, but I appreciate the recommendation. Have I read Crowley? No, I had to read a lot of oh god, what's his face? L. Ron Hubbard for a paper I was writing. And that was enough of sort of like culty crackpots for me. Jane Harper, yes, thank you for reminding me. Apologies to anybody who likes Crowley. That's just my perspective. Are you interested in reading Three Women by Lisa Tato? Considering that I have never heard of that book. No, but there you go. I'm sure maybe I could be persuaded. Post-colonial literature often involves writings that deal with issues of decolonization or political or cultural independence of people formerly subjugated to colonial rule. Thank you for that definition. I mean, I don't really have, that's not an area that I've read a lot of. Like I said, maybe Wide Sargasso Sea might kind of be in that vibe. I did really like Things Fall Apart, but I'm sure everybody who was assigned that in school did. I had to read that book 3 separate times, which was fine because it was a good book, but oh man, the Yam King. Let's see. Thoughts on Mishner novels? Never tackled one of those. They seem so long. How old did I say I am, and do I know my IQ? We established I'm 32. IQ, it's a touchy subject for me. IQ is not really a real thing, and it's got real eugenic-y vibes and origins. Technically, I took something that's like can give you the equivalent of your IQ. My grandmother, in theory, had it like off the chart IQ. My mom also had a very high IQ, and then I, in theory, also have a high one. But I also think you have to be real careful about that stuff because it's been used to really oppress people. I'm sure that was not the intent of that question. It just gets me like, it sends me on this whole like stream of thinking about why we need different ways to talk about people's intelligence. But all that to say, even if I knew my exact IQ, I hope I would never be one of those people who talks about it. Crime and Punishment was the one I read. It was a real punishment. I like that. I haven't tried that one. The premise isn't that intriguing to me. What are your thoughts on virtual book conventions during this time of need? Well, thank you for teeing me up to remind everyone that I am hosting a panel as part of one of those virtual book conventions on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. my time. So I think that they're great. And I think they're a good way to try to connect, to give, especially authors who are supposed to be on book tours and can't do them. I think this is a good opportunity for them to be able to do that a little bit. Oliver's IQ is over 90,000. So that's impressive. I would brag about that if I were you. I think if it's that high, you definitely get to brag about it. Have to go now. Hope you have a super fabulous week. You too, Charles. Thank you for all the wonderful questions. Those are very thoughtful. What do I do for work? I try to keep it kind of vague. I am in technology, And then I do a lot of like project management stuff. So I always jokingly say my job is bossing around men twice my age. So is Haruki Murakami worth the hype? I've never read any and don't really have that strong a desire to. So sad the BookCon is not happening in NYC. It would have been my first time there, and I want to go to NYC really badly. New York is awesome, totally worth getting to. I would recommend trying to go at Christmas if you can, because I think that's really when it shines. So maybe you can reschedule for the holidays. See the bye to the folks who have to leave. Yeah, we'll start wrapping up here in the next couple minutes. What is the one short story collection you think everyone should read? Well, like I said, my favorite is The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. I don't know that everybody would love it. Everybody should read. I think of like a classic short story collection. I don't know. I guess I'll go with The Bloody Chamber. I like that one. I'm a project manager too in web tech. Yes, solidarity. Yeah. I spent a lot of time. The joy of my job is that I'm the bad guy to everyone because nobody's ever getting what they want on either side of the equation. So I spend my time just convincing them that they have to still do it. I've not read Judge Dredd. Another lady PM. Cool. Yep. Solidarity here. Lots of us who spend our time bossing people around. Okay, let me see what other questions I had from the other groups. Oh, my best friend is lurking. Hi. She just texted me. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Okay, how is your recovery from surgery going? I hope you're feeling so much better. That is so kind. It is going well. I got to skip this week of doctor's appointments, so that was a good sign. I have to go back next week, and I'm very much hoping they will tell me that I don't have to do as much tending to my wound as I do now, because it's not very fun. If I could be the heroine in any historical romance era, contemporary romance subgenre, who would it be and who would the hero be? Oh, well, that is a fantastic question. Okay. The hero, let's pick that. Maybe that'll tell me my subgenre. You know what? I can't tell you his name, but the hero of Heart of Obsidian by Nalini Singh would be my hero, and that means that I'm in a paranormal, which is great. The other fun thing about a paranormal means that I'm like probably have some really fun powers. So Einstein was 121 or 161 IQ. Okay. I love The Bloody Chamber. Yes, it's fantastic. By Oliver. I would have guessed you an accountant. That is my undergraduate degree, is in accounting. So I know just enough about that stuff to be dangerous. Okay, I think, are those most of the questions that I got? Let me just double check here real quick. I don't want to leave anyone out. Okay. Okay. You've never mentioned George R.R. Martin in the Game of Thrones series. Are you a fan? Have you ever read the books? Do you plan to? I did mention this like back in the day, that I did read and enjoyed the first Game of Thrones book, and I enjoyed it, and I can see why people really like it, but, and there's just no delicate way to put this, I'm just not convinced that the author will live to finish that series. And based on how people felt about the ending of the TV show, even if I hope he lives forever, even if he does live to see the end of this series, I don't know that it would be that satisfying. So I just feel like the risk reward of continuing in that series was too high for me. So I decided not to continue. But again, I can totally see the appeal. And I do really like a grimdark fantasy. I think I've discovered that more and more over time. Okay, and then let's see here. Matthew says he found me through my C.S. Lewis video. He's been doing a reread. I wonder what you thought about Dickens and if you have had any personal favorites of his. I do. It's interesting. I would have told you, well, even just last year, that I really like Dickens. And my favorite, as I mentioned earlier, is Great Expectations. But I tried to read David Copperfield last year and really was struggling to get into it. So I wonder if, as an adult, I have less patience for the word count padding Dickens did, so he could get those sweet coins. So I don't know. I definitely have books of his that I have enjoyed. But I would also say I'm, as an adult, evolving in my taste with him, or my perspective on him. Also, I found out how he treated his first wife, and I will say that materially impacted my opinion of him. Okay, the last one from these other sources is, please explain your channel name is Looks Like Whoa. I honestly have no idea. I don't remember how I got to that name. I don't know. Because I have books like whoa. Whew. I don't know. I really don't remember how I came up with that. It's just been the name. Okay, so coming back over here, I would have guessed you an accountant. I don't know how to take that, Peggy. I'm just going to be honest with you. Oh, but then you say I'm so sweet. Thank you so much. That's very kind. I guess it's fine for you to guess I was an accountant because I nearly was one. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be? I don't know. Who would I want to have dinner with? I'm trying to think of. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of like a famous like raconteur, somebody who would be fun to have dinner with. Like I could see Oscar Wilde being really fun to eat with. Like I could see him being a very interesting dinner guest. Thank you for your time. Need to go and have a cuppa and a few bickies. I'm going to guess that's biscuits. Thank you for dropping in. What did I name the cats? The boy cat's name is Captain Arthur Hastings, and the girl cat's name is Miss Jane Marple. Oh, and then there is the Cyrillic alphabet, so I'm not sure what that says, but I'm hoping it's nothing but kind. Would you ever do a video sharing your book-related Excel sheets and how you organize them? Rashita, I think that's how you say your name. That is literally the video that is going up on Sunday. So yes, and it's going up on Sunday. Who is your favorite Rue drag queen? Katya Zamolichikova. Period. Done. I think you said in an old video is because people go into your house and say whoa a lot. Say whoa, LOL. Yeah, that checks out. That is accurate. Hello to you, Flamenco, and all the guys, mayors, brothers, and sisters. You stay in states in Russia. Yes, hello. Hello to anyone in Russia. Hey, Connor. I hope you are well too. I feel like I'm really glad that. Sorry. I know random things about people on the internet. I hope you guys came back from Mexico okay. I thought about that when I saw people posting. I was like, oh, I hope that's not going to be a problem. But I congratulations on your recent nuptials. It looked beautiful, and I hope you guys are enjoying a very intense beginning to your marital bliss quarantined here. So. Do I watch BookTube? If so, who's your favorite? Well, yes, I do watch BookTube. I can't just pick a favorite. There's so many people I enjoy. Oh, I don't know. It depends on what you're looking for. My friend Leanna does some of my favorite rants. I literally just curl up with a warm cup of something and watch her videos and laugh. If you were looking for great middle grade And fantasy recommendations, I definitely recommend Connor. Connor, I've said this before, I think is one of the most genuinely like communicates his excitement about books better than almost anybody else on BookTube, I think. So I'll shout him out. He's here. Who else do I like Books and Lala a lot. I think Chandler Ansley, is that how you say her last name, has been doing some interesting videos. I like Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. For fantasy recommendations, a Book Olive. I love her for nonfiction stuff. I'm trying to think of people whose videos like I automatically like. I don't know. I love BookTube. There's so many good BookTubers. We have an embarrassment of riches, really, on BookTube. I feel like. I cannot wait for the spreadsheet video. I love a good data-driven video. I hope you enjoy it. When I was editing it, I was like, this is the most boring thing ever. I don't know who wants to watch this, but I hope you guys enjoy. Mares equals mates, predictive. Oh, it gave you a predictive test. Sorry about that. Okay, gotcha. Mates. I like Adore. Yes, Adore Delano is great. Can't wait for Sunday's video. My name is Rachel. Oh, hey, Rachel. Okay. You're awesome, and I enjoyed your books. Recommend it. I'm so glad. That's always my favorite comment I get when somebody has read a book I've recommended and enjoyed it. Oh, good. Okay. Connor said that they snuck back in before everything closed. Hello from India. My question is, do you have a boyfriend? I do not. This is why we have therapy. We've got commitment issues, but we're working on it. Very fast pull the plug problem. Do I play Roblox? I don't know what that is, so no. Yeah, finishing law school from home has been a thing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've seen a lot of people talking about the horrors of Zoom classrooms. I have some friends who are professors. I think they've been having a really fun time figuring out how to finish out teaching via Zoom. Can I also tell you it's hilarious to me that everybody uses Zoom now, because I've been using Zoom for years at work. Like, it's a business teleconferencing thing. So now that like everyone's using it for fun, it's very weird to me because I associate Zoom with like it's 4 a.m. and I had to get up to get on a call with Europe on Zoom kind of a thing. So all-time favorite romance. That's a hard one. If I had to pick one, I don't know if I could pick one. Oh no, I don't think I could do that. I mean, Jane Eyre, technically, because Jane Eyre is like an romance novel. I guess that's my cop-out answer. Oh god, that would be really hard to pick. I mean, if we were going like paranormal, I don't know. Anyway. Yes, thank you, Nilish. I'm working on it. I just started the In-Depth series and OMG, I'm hooked. Yes, I'm so glad. It's so good. Just started Red Sister because of your recommendation. I love stories about angry women. Yes, you will love it. If you've not read The Poppy War, you should also read that because, yeah, it's all about the female rage. Okay, well, we're an hour and 20 minutes in, so man, okay, maybe we'll start landing this plane. My backup idea here was, come on now. Where did chat go? Come back. My backup plan was to talk about all the book releases that got pushed because of COVID, and maybe we can do that next time. I don't know. You guys can let me know if that's anything you're interested in hearing about. Chat keeps disappearing? What is happening? Come back, chat. You guys can let me know if that's something you're interested in. I just thought that might be a useful kind of like public service announcement type thing, because some of the books that I thought that I had to read soon have now gotten pushed out. So I've got a little bit more time before I have to read those arcs. But I'm happy to give you some of my findings of books that I cared about that their dates have gotten pushed back. So maybe we can do that next time. I think like I said, I will keep doing live streams on Tuesday nights. I think so long as I'm sequestered in my home, because I don't have to worry about commuting. So it's easier to kind of keep this up. But Okay, I'm seeing a few people saying yes, they'd be interested in. Do I have any pre-orders you want to plug that I could check out or that you guys can check out? So a pre-order just arrived right before I went live from my friendly UPS driver, and that was The Girl and the Stars by Mark Lawrence. Came out today, and that is a follow-up to Red Sister, the Book of the Ancestor series, of which Red Sister is the first book. So I'm very excited about that. Actually, I could tell you what my pre-orders are. Let me open up my Amazon page here real quick. In theory, I should get these from my local independent bookstore, but honestly, I can't. The nice thing about pre-ordering on Amazon is that I literally don't have to think about it again. It just shows up and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing. Okay. You'll be amused to hear that most of my open orders right now are various cat items that are on their way to me. Okay. Pre-orders. Black Sun, Rebecca Roanhorse. That should be coming out, I think, in the fall sometime. Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahern I have on pre-order. That's on September 1st. A Study in the Study with the Wrench by Diana Peterfront is on October 13th. That one is the follow-up to the Clue series that's going on. Say No More by Karen Rose is coming out on August 11th. I have that on pre-order. That was the follow-up to Say You're Sorry last year, which I really, really liked. The Burning God by R.F. Kuang comes out on November 17th, which is the final book in the Poppy War series, which I'm very excited about. Then let's see here. What else do I have on pre-order? The Bride Bet. Well, that's one that's sad. The Bride Bet by Tessa Dare still right here is listed as August 25th, but she actually announced on Twitter that that's getting pushed to February of 2021. I'm high-key sad about that. Emerald Blaze is still scheduled for August 25th. I really hope that that happens by Alona Andrews. That's the follow-up to Sapphire Flames, which was in the Hidden Legacy series. Adventure Zone, Pedals to the Metal comes out on July 14th. Alpha Night by Nalini Singh is June 9th. Man, I got a lot on pre-order. Past me was ambitious here. I've already read Alpha Night and it is everything. And then Katya and Trixie and Katya's Guide to Modern Womanhood by Trixie Mattel and Katya Somolojikova. Excited for that. And then last but not least, Dragon Unleashed by Grace Draven, which we have been waiting for nigh on 2 years now. So there we go. Those are my pre-orders. Have I read the Veronica Speedwell series? I haven't, but I've had it recommended to me many times. So I agree. It probably is something I would enjoy. Start the Poppy War. I need them all in that beautiful white cover. Yes. Yeah, I have all three. I have all three of those. And I'm hoping that I got an arc for the Dragon Republic. So hoping I can get one again for the Burning God. Okay, guys. I think it's time for me to wrap up. I have sat for quite some time now. So I'm going to go take care of my kitty cats before we go to bed. But thank you guys for joining me. I'm thinking next week I might do this on Instagram instead of here. So maybe look for me on Instagram. I appreciate you guys. I hope everybody's staying safe and staying sane. We're going to get through this. Solidarity. Good night. Bye-bye. And I'll see you guys soon. Let's see, how do I stop this? See you soon if I can figure out how to end it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Bye now.